Welcome to Overtime, the podcast. Overtime is a podcast dedicated to all things watches, particularly in the micro-brand and affordable range. I'm Praka, and this is my co-host, Justin.
We are two watch enthusiasts based out of Perth, Western Australia. Join us as we discuss our thoughts on new releases, share our personal experiences, and offer our insights on building a collection.
Whether you're a seasoned enthusiast or just starting your journey, Overtime will keep you entertained with informative insights and casual conversations.
Let's get started. All right. How you going? How's your week been, man?
Yeah, pretty good. Fairly busy week, actually. Less watch stuff than I would have liked, but you get that from week to week. How about yourself?
Yeah, busy week for me. Started a new role at work, so it's the first time in a long time I've started something completely fresh, a new side of the company I've never been in before. So it's been full on, lots of learning.
Yeah,
but still plenty of time for watch stuff though.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, I maybe it was not complete truth when I said not enough stuff. But there definitely always is. There always is. Oh, cool, man. So I guess before we get started on today's episode, let's just get our wrist checks out of the way. Hey, what have you got on your wrist today?
Yeah, so I guess back onto the new role, a little bit of not field-based work, but outside a bit more than the last 18 months of my career. So today I work with the Seiko Solar Tuner. So I got the grayed out version of it. For value for money, this is probably the top of my list for my collection. I think I picked this up for $200 and it's on a cheapest natos strap, full lume. So awesome. When you go inside to outside, like today, was out in the field, came back in the office to do some notes, and it was just like beaming in the corner of the room. So awesome. Yeah, I love this one. Awesome. What about yourself?
Beautiful. I decided to class it up a little bit today at work. Ooh. And got my Tissot Gentleman Powermatic 80 Silicium. So it's the blue dial. It's a classic everyday wear kind of watch, or what they call a garter, go anywhere, do anything.
Yep.
Sort of. It's not quite the 200 meter screw down water crown, screw down crown, but it's 100 meters. I think that's plenty. Nice sport style, I guess, when you just a simple sport steel watch if you got your bracelet on. But today I have it on an artisan straps leather. It's a shrunken grey calf leather. Yes, artisan straps out of Sydney, Australia. Make some fantastic straps, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. The green dial variant, I've been a fan of for a long time, and it does have that little bit of class to it when you chuck it on a leather or anything really.
For sure. Yeah, I thought I'd dress it up a little bit today. So yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, yeah, I guess now we've got the wrist checks out of the way. Let's get into today's episode, shall we? So today we thought we'll get into some new releases, stuff that's popped up popped up in the month of June, or it is going to pop up in the month of June, or even maybe month of May, depending on where you are. So yeah, let's kick it off with a Seiko. Justin.
Yeah, so I guess this one here, I believe is a release based on the 40th anniversary of the world's first analog quartz chronograph launched by Seiko in 1983. So this is the speed timer SFJ 001 is what I'm looking at the moment, which I believe is the Panda variant. I'll go straight off the bat with my thoughts on this and go, I don't like it. Not a fan. I'm just not a fan. There's so much going on, even though there's not a lot going on, in my opinion. I don't know. It's just like my inner symmetry nut. But yeah, just the three pushes with the fourth crown down there. Nothing about this does it for me. What about yourself?
Look, it's definitely unique. I haven't seen anything like this. They did have, obviously it's based on their 1983 model. So, they did have that chronograph that sort of has similar, aesthetics to it, but not quite like this. I get what they're going for here. And I get, they are sponsoring the World Athletic Championships in Budapest in 23. So it's all a sponsored, linked launch. And but for me as well, I don't think yeah, this is not it. As a fan of vintage Seiko chronographs, there's a lot of it. The stylings in here, but not done tastefully. Is in my opinion, and like most modern Seikos chronographs, I find they they normally pass that line of classy to gaudy very quickly.
They
And
go right in
this,
with it, like they just go over the top with the chronograph
correct.
feature, and just like that the dial becomes the chronograph feature. That's it. It just consumes it. But in saying that, the World Athletic Championship in Budapest LE edition is probably my
Yes.
favorite out of them all. I think it's the best, best one with a bit of depth on the dial, and the contrast works well with like gold, yellow, whatever we're going to call them, kind of accents to it. But I don't hate that one. But yeah, the original model from 1969, I think, is like a 10 out of 10. It's such an attractive
Yeah.
watch. Like, that I've never handled one, obviously, but
Yeah.
that case, is going to wear incredibly well. The pushes are, but I think in the picture I'm looking at, they're not guarded, but they look like they sit sort of behind the curvature of the case. I'm not sure, but I think it's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah. They're just sort of, yeah, pushes are sort of sitting just underneath the case. Yeah, because you can say a quarter of a guard. Yeah, like I said before, the vintage Seiko chronographs were just different. They were just really well made, really well done. That's why till this day they fetch such a high sum, and is really sought after. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a miss, which is unfortunate because I did like Seiko's previous chronograph they released. I think it was the back end of last year, which you've got a variant, which is a very nice chronograph, actually, very classic.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it could have been done differently, but hey, that's what they're doing.
Yep, cool. Well, I guess we'll move on to the next new release for that we wanted to discuss. Is the Zelos Hammerhead 3. So Zelos fresh off another drop, another release where they sold out pretty much everything, which was the Mako. Maybe not as fast as they would like to, but they did sell them out. They've dropped the Hammerhead. I don't have a lot of experience with Zelos watches, but you, my friend, do. So
Yeah,
give me your thoughts.
I've had a good handful over time of Zelos, and I've missed out on drops. I think, as we discussed the last one, like I'm still after the Adventurine um, dial variant of something, which I was in for the Mako drop, but nothing else stood out to me. Um, yeah, these ones I've owned. What is it? 3 hammerheads at this stage. So I've had the stainless steel. I've had 2 bronze, and none of them have lasted in the collection. And I think I touched on that on a previous episode as well, where I just said, like, for that bigger case size, the turtle just does it better in terms of weight, in terms of just the way it conforms and wears with the bracelet. Nothing against the hammerhead at all. It's still a beautiful watch in my opinion. It's good to see innovation and whatnot. There's not other case like it, I don't think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just doesn't hit for me. In saying that, I have been looking at this meteorite um, dial because it's still somehow for sale. But yeah, I think that's a topic for another day. Is the trend of how they're traveling. There's only 3 variants left out of 8, I believe, or 7, and I didn't expect meteorite to still be kicking around.
Hmm.
But I'll throw it to you. What do you think about these? Because there is what, 1, 2, 3, 4 different like textures to the dials here, and
Yeah.
then 7 different colors
Yeah. Look,
and bezel matches.
yeah, look, I like the color variety. I think it's great. I think it gives a lot of people different options, but the different textures, I feel like there's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
Like I look at the chalk blue. I really like that. I think that color is in. We're not only
Yep.
seeing this color in watches, we're also seeing this color in cars. I see that this chalk blue color a lot. So I think that's definitely a good release there. And your yellow and your traditional sort of blue, or just the standard sort of meteorite dial is good. It's different, but it's also good at stays in stays in, I guess, like the normal watch release dials that you can release. But for example, like the hammered red, with the that's a lot of different textures in there for the red. I'm not saying it's a necessarily bad thing, but I think it sort of scatters their release a bit too
It's a bit of a
much.
standout one. Like I don't
Yeah.
like the bezel to dial contrast there because I think there's a bit of an attempt that Fume kind of done on that dial as well. Like there's a bit of black on the outside of the red.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know that dial's been done on a previous model of something else in here as well before, and it was a huge hit. But I think with the Hammerhead, the personal experience is the dial to case ratio is very unique. There's a lot of watch there, but not a lot of dial.
Yes.
Um, but yeah, it's a bit of a like I don't know. To me, you take the bezel on the mosaic mop and put it on the teal, and you've got a home run, in my opinion, for that watch. I love the look of that. There's
Sure.
on the bezel the blue printed on it, opposed to having a black bezel with the lume printed on it.
Yeah.
Um, Nailed it. And actually, while we're on this, I want to get your opinion. What do you think of
Mm.
the TI Damascus?
The
I think they call it.
TI Damascus. Oh, look, I reckon the dial is cool, right? It's
Mm,
very out there. I just didn't think that the same texture and color needed to be replicated in the bezel. I feel like the bezel should have been a bit muted and allowed the dial to shine. I feel like having the bezel in the same color and texture
yep.
really takes away from that.
Yep.
And also the hands tip, the orange tip in the second hand, and the orange dial, orange text hammerhead. I don't think it really contrasts enough. And I can say the same thing with the yellow dial or the ember um, orange as well. I feel like it's nice, but it needs a little bit more difference, pop, maybe a little bit more a contrast there too. I mean, saying that, it's still done very well. I just yeah, it just doesn't quite hit the same as the previous release by the Mako. Yeah.
Yeah, and this variant of the Damascus dial is very different to their previous, like the I don't know what you call them, contours. What do we the ripple effect in
Yeah.
the dial? Usually they're quite spaced out, and you see that blue and red and orange kind of span across a larger space. Where this is quite close and it's different. It was a big hit in the forums, from what I know. But I think for me, a relief style bezel on that would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. And I do like the fact that the watch is titanium, and even though it's that big, definitely would wear better because it's light. But yeah, again, not a super fan of this stuff. So we're not exactly getting off to a good start, are we? We're listening,
No,
we're not really doing this stuff
but look,
justice.
in
But
in
yeah,
saying that, I'll back innovation and say it's cool to see different stuff. Like the mosaic mop coming back is cool. The full lume yellow against the blue is sick, in my opinion, as well.
yeah, for sure. And the listeners, if you still want to have a look at this and potentially grab it, there's still three variants available, right?
Yep, three variants available, and usually, from my experience, the odd one will pop back up in the other ways as people make decisions where they've purchased three and kind of email in and go, "Oh, this is the one I actually wanted." So keep your eye out if you do want to grab stuff like the mop and the Damascus that don't stick around for long.
That's a good tip there. That's a good tip. All right, perfect. Well, I guess we'll move on from Zelos today, and we'll go on to I think the probably the one release that you're most excited for. Um, we're looking at a new Citizen release. Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, 37 mil diver. I think it's following a bit of the trends at the moment. Like we've seen obviously the Tudor Black Bay 54. I think we
54.
are seeing the trend come full swing. We went huge and oversized for so long, and now we're coming all the way back,
Yeah.
which I'm a fan of. Like 37 to me, currently where I'm collecting, I love that smaller watch, and the dimensions of this to me spot on. So you're looking at website says 36.5, so they're obviously rounding up, but 11.6 in thickness. I think it's spot on, and might be a bit weird, but in my personal opinion, the rose gold with that pink strap hitting my really getting me at the moment. I really like it. Yeah, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I like it. I think the trend for smaller divers is great. I mean, we definitely had releases like the SKX like 013 that was very popular for a long time, and you also had the multiple Seiko Quartz divers and the Citizen divers of the old, which all had 37, 38 mil divers. So I think to have divers that go back to this size is great, and especially if you think that a lot of citizen divers, especially the Promaster range, I feel like they're always that 42 mil,
Big,
just
yep.
a little bit too big for guys who have small wrists, or the ladies, or just people who prefer smaller watches. You don't necessarily need to have a small wrist to enjoy small watches. So yeah, I'm with you there for sure. And the color maybe not for me, but I can see why you like it. It's a great combination. And the listeners, if you're listening, if you want to play along, of course, we're going to be putting all these links in the show notes, and I think it's definitely worth checking out this color. It might surprise you. It might surprise you.
Yeah, and I think at the price point, where it's an eco drive, you're not going to kill it. 6 months battery life once exposed and charged up. So you can sit in the safe. I think I was reading somewhere that don't let it run completely flat too many times, or else you may kill the something inside it. But yeah, take it out of the box one day of wear will get you back to charge. But I think it's $550 retail for AUD, but
Right.
Starbuy, I've got them up at the moment. So basically, immediately after release, straight up on Starbuy for 450.
There you go.
So, and you're right about SKX. Give me those vibes now. I'm thinking about it. Now that I take away the gold and the Citizen logo, I'm definitely getting SKX vibes.
Yeah, yeah. I think and it's great. It's great that they're following that same trend. And like you say, eco drive, right? What's eco drive is one of those things that it's tried and tested, solar, and you can literally go diving, doing whatever you want with it. Go bash it up, and like I said, in the field, you can go for a swim. Yeah, I'm all for this new release. Does What are the other color variants that come in it? So
So
there's
we have a black and sorry, the blue, which is like a traditional kind of Citizen ProMaster colorway. So it's got the navy kind of blue. I don't know what they actually called the blue, but it's got the orange minute hand.
Yep.
Um, I think that's an absolute hit as well. Like, and it's cool to see some different color rubber straps as well, actually color matching instead of just being that plain black.
Yep.
So it's cool to see they're paying attention to what I think in places for especially forums here. I've definitely seen people mention about color matching straps. No color matching date wheel there, but the way the date wheel kind of matches into that 3 to 6 indice looks pretty spot on. Like they've hit the nail on the head there. Matches really well. And then the
Yep.
next one I think was just a black and orange hand again.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. I think this is a winner. This one. So I'm glad we moved on to a winner, because I didn't want to
Yeah.
make it seem to the listeners that we're just going to be disparaging every single new release that's come out this week or this month.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right. Well, I guess just move on to the next release. And this one, look, I saw this and I went, it's I shouldn't like this. I should hate this, but I don't. I don't. Just going with my gut, I don't. So we're talking about the Tissot Sideral S. I think Sideral, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
And it's a regatta timer. So it's its own function. It's not a dive watch. It's not a sports watch. It's a regatta timer. I don't know how many people out there listening do regattas, but regardless, I think it just looks cool. Yeah, and it's got all this various different vintage vibes to it, and Tissot, who have recently hit it out of the home park with PRX, have basically stuck to the same formula and gone to their back catalog and said, hey, we're going to just use the same thing that we did in the 70s and re-release it. I mean, they've obviously upgraded it with modern stuff, but it's definitely a very faithful homage to it. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm real on the fence, kind of like yourself. Like I shouldn't like this, but I'd never buy it. Put it that way, I'd never buy it, but I'm not against it. Um, I don't know. I like the use of color. I'm a very I like color in my collection, so I'm a huge fan of color being added. This is fiberglass, right?
Yes, I think
Or
it's
yeah,
fiberglass or carbon fiber is the case. Yeah, so sorry, it's actually a forged carbon. So
it's forged carbon, right?
forged
I think I
carbon
must have been reading about the original was a fiberglass case,
could
which I
be.
thought was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, don't know how much sun exposure you can get on that in my experience with fiberglass, but hey, run
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, not a miss, not a hit at all, but
Sure.
I'm a fan. I guess one of the only gripes for me is like I don't like the crown. Like there's probably not a lot of option there. Well, I guess you could. Seeing the crown in different material, even like a PVD coated
Mm.
stainless steel in black, probably would have made it more of a hit for me because it stands out. Don't know if it's just me that sees it, but it just stands out to me.
That's definitely a good point there. I don't think they've quite nailed that aesthetic choice there. You're correct. So you got the forged carbon, which is, dark and yeah, if a nice PVD coating would be good. I mean, they've obviously the case back is stainless steel. It must be something to do with the interaction of the materials with the back of your skin. I'm
Yep.
guessing. But yeah, I mean, it's well proportioned, to 41 mil, so it's fairly big. But I think for a watch that's doing things like a regatta timer, I think that's okay. And interestingly, it's got a good case shape. I mean, it's a tonneau case, which is basically the turtle shape. And so it would definitely wear better than the 41 mils suggests. With I find with a lot of Tissot's releases, they're 40 and 41 mils usually a bit bigger than your say Seikos or your Citizens. The lug to lugs are generally longer, but because of the case shape, it would actually wear quite compact on people's wrists. Again, this feels like I shouldn't like this, but I actually don't mind it. Would I go out and purchase the watch? I probably wouldn't. But if someone was to gift it to me, I wouldn't say no.
Yeah, I've not had too much to do with Tissot myself, but I've jumped on forums. Like I've tried and jump on a lot of forums to see what the feel is in places, and I think it was a bit of a hit across the forums. That's for sure.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, if I start sailing, I think sailing's regatta, right?
I think
Maybe it's
so.
on the cards.
Yachting,
Yachting,
yeah,
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 maybe I don't want to get put to the flames for that one. But
yeah.
yeah, if I start yachting or sailing, maybe it's on the cards.
Yeah, I did get someone try and teach me or show me how a regatta worked or yachting,
Yep.
and it just went straight over my head. Not my sport, but hey, if the listeners do need a regatta timer, then this is definitely one to check out.
Yeah, for sure. All
Sure.
right, cool. We might move on to the next one. So, from sailing racing to racing inspired watches, we're going Stratton Watch Co. again. So, vintage driver chrono watch is what they're calling it. I think kind of cool. Again, like I'm a big fan of the innovation side of things, and this is a big watch. I think, yeah, I think it's got a lot of presence. It's very bold. The bezel's very like in your face, but not against it. I like the full lume variant. I think it's a reverse panda. I can never remember which one's a panda and which one's not. But yeah, I'm a fan. What about yourself?
Yeah, again, I've said this before about big watches, not being a fan of big watches, but I think for a racing inspired chronograph, it kind of needs to be big. I think, if you're really um, looking at functionally, it makes sense. Um, I, I don't hate it. I think it looks pretty good. I like that black with the golf colors, the
Yep.
the sort of that orange and light blue stripe down the dial. Reminds me of the tag Hoya Monaco or the Hoya Monaco. It has that kind of vibe, that color.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy that color variant. I see what you mean about the full lume dial. It's probably a little bit too much, but yeah, I think the proportions are great. I mean, looking at a 44 mil case, which is on the big side, but it's only a 50 mil lug to lug. So in comparison, it's not the biggest watch in the world, and yeah, I think it wears really well.
Yeah, and just scrolling through, like being in the microbrand space, I think I read that the first 100 orders will also get a free racing inspired canvas strap, which is kind of cool to get that extra bit of value. And if you have a look at the photo there, the orange one that's color matched with the red, orange, and yellow strap actually kind of hits, in my opinion. It looks awesome. Don't know if I'd actually wear it. It's maybe a little bit too much color for me, but I think it's definitely a hit. And yeah, like you said about the golf too, I like the little nods to the crossover hobbies and interests into the watch hobby too. But yeah, for
Yeah,
me, I enjoy it. So I think Stratton, being the sister or brother company of Signum, I really like watching this space.
yeah, I agree. I agree. It's always good to get. We've discussed this before. I think microbrands provide such great value, and being able to get these little goodies here and there. I think it really helps. And Carl does a great job in these designs and takes pride in them. So I think it's great. And I'll definitely urge the listeners to check it out.
Yeah, and I guess just a nod on this one too. I enjoy the fact there's like photos with natos on there, and it's I don't know where he's getting them from. If they're he's getting them made specifically for his brand, but it's cool to see real life photos because you're so used to seeing just bracelet, rubber, whatever the thing comes with. It's cool to see some actual real life photos that aren't rendered. I think we touched on that with Signum too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy that. It helps that purchasing fear that you have in this space where you haven't been able to hold it in the flesh or see it. So you kind of get to see the real life picture. And at 369 USD, I think that falls just under 7 or maybe 600 AUD. I think
Yep.
it's a bit of a bargain.
Yep. No, I agree. I agree. And the movement in it's solid too. Your Mecha Quartz VK Seiko movement. It's a robust chronograph movement. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, perfect. All right, we might move on to the next one, which I think you're excited about this one. I'm excited about this one. I love it. So we might
Yeah.
fire over the Orient Mako RN AA0817Y. Yeah, for I guess I'll pass it to you, but I think this
Quite,
is
quite the
stunning.
mouthful. Quite the mouthful. Yeah, that's the one thing that Orient just does not seem to get is their codes and all that. It's a lot simpler if you just call it a nickname and go with it. I think. Yeah. So yeah, look, it's such a beautiful dial to start off with. I think it's just the orange sunburst with that sort of fume dial, and the bezel as well, matching with the sort of the gray and the orange. And I think that's an aluminum bezel as well. So it just looks the part. And Mako, the Mako line. I think this is the version 3 Mako. Mako is such it's a classic. I think it's a bit of a cult following for the affordable watches, and the Orient Makos or the Orient Kamasus or the Orient Rays. So to have a new version of the Mako with the Arabic in a 12, 9, 6 and 9 indices is a great hit.
Yeah, I think it's stunning. I don't know why. I haven't cross-checked the photos of this, but I think it gives me the Seiko 5/55 50 fathoms watch for some reason. I don't know if it's the dimensions or just that. I think it's more the handset off the top of my head, but I think, yeah, this is absolutely killer. I didn't know this watch existed until you mentioned it. I obviously knew Orient existed and whatnot in the Mako line, but yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Um, I think the only thing I dislike is having water resistant printed on the dial. I think it's just a bit of a pointless, like well, I guess not everyone knows, but looking at it, it's a die bar. It's got 20 bar in there, which I think is absolutely fine. And even, I don't know, maybe we'll put automatic there instead of jamming it underneath the Orient dial, the Orient logo. But yeah, I've never owned Orient, but I think it's a hit.
Yeah, I mean, I have owned an Orient. I've owned Orient Bambino, which is a little bit a bit different. It's not quite a diver, and I've had experience with the Orient Kamasu as well, which is the I guess the sister watch of the Mako, and they're well built, fantastic watches. The movements are reliable. I mean, you're looking at a Seiko Epson caliber that's in them, so the Orient movements are
Yep.
Seiko Epson calibers. But the only gripe here is, I mean, it's going to be very hard to. So for all the listeners out there, it's not going to be easy to buy this.
Mm.
It is a JDM model. You're going to have to buy it direct from Japan. You're probably going to have to buy it from a third party or a gray market to be able to purchase this, or through eBay Japan or one of those sites. And we'll probably do a segment on that another time, I think, about
Yeah, yeah,
purchasing
definitely.
through Japan. But it's not, I'm looking at a price of around US 400 if you're going to try and buy it in the gray market at the moment. So you're looking at about $600+. And the bracelet is just not up to spec, I think. For something that's about 600 Aussie dollars, needs to be better.
Yeah, when you can compare it to what's sitting around that price, it's definitely lacking there. But one thing that, yeah, I want to mention with this one is I'm thinking about, like, if you buy this now, the potential for the patina on that bezel down the track would be awesome. It kind of gives me the orange samurai vibes. I own that watch, love that watch. Sold it for some silly reason, but yeah, the potential for a good looking patina on that is amazing.
Yep. Yep. And
And
you're right.
yeah, sorry, mate. Just one more. I love kanji date wheels. Don't know why. Japanese and kanji, just that little kind of like nod to the heritage of the watch and the brand. Always kind of makes me feel good when I see the little logo pop up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Even if all my watches, I always like to swap to the kanji date wheel, or my vintage Seikos. I do that. it's,
Yep.
it's a fun thing to do. And yeah, I thought I'll talk about the fact that this version of the Mako is upgraded with sapphire crystal, which is great to see because Seiko at around the same price range don't really do this, which is a bit of a shame. But Orient, I think, has really cemented itself as the Japanese value proposition, sort of taking over that space. I think that where Seiko was with the Makos and the Kamasus, and the Rays, and even the Bambinos. I think it's a very good, it's a good way for the listeners who are looking for a affordable dive watch or an affordable Japanese, solid, well built watch. Go to Orient. I think. Seiko
Mm.
definitely has some great deals. Don't get me wrong. Your turtles and the like are fantastic. And I say that, and I the biggest all out of all my watches, most of my Seiko. So, but in saying that, Orient has fantastic value. So I'll definitely recommend the listeners to check this out, and hopefully you can purchase this via a grey market.
Yeah, I think this is going to be stunning to take photos of as well. I think it's just going to be one of those ones that pops in the light. And last thing from me is the second tip of the second hand matches the color scheme of the watch. I think in the last couple of episodes we've spoken about is a pretty rare occurrence. So it's a hit for me. Big fan.
Big fan. Me too. This is definitely a hit then. So we got a couple of hits, a couple of misses, and maybe one, not so. But I guess to round things off for today's episode, let's speak about the probably the biggest release of this month, which is the Tissot Powermatic 80 PRX in the 35 mil. This is huge. I think
Mm.
when PRX was first released, every man and his dog wanted this, and I think it was the biggest hit that Tissot had in a long time. And one of the gripes that was that the 35 mil was only released in quartz, and many people were upset about that. But now they've given the people what they wanted. They've given them this. What do you reckon?
Yeah, so I mean, another reach to the back catalogue, I guess, with the PRX. But I don't know. This is big news in terms of the community. But to me, I'm kind of like, eh. For me, like I've owned the PRX in the 40. I just the green dial in the quartz. I've got nothing against quartz. Like I want it to work a lot of the time. I think the 40 model wears amazing. The bracelet is actually incredible as well. I'm a huge fan of it. And yeah, I guess while we're on the PRX, I sold that one in the idea of getting the 35 and never actually got around to it. Just me embracing my small watch era at the moment. I was gonna go all in and buy the all PVD gold version and never got around to it. But when I kind of look at the PRX, they've got the same waffle dial as the 40s with the Powermatic 80s in them. I don't know. It's just one of those ones where it's people are making a huge song and dance about it. It is big news, but I just look at it and go, it's the same thing with a waffle dial. The secondhand ticks opposed to sweeps, and that's it. I don't know. Like, I get it, but what do you feel? I just feel like it's not a huge. It is
Yeah,
huge in terms of the community, but I don't feel like it's a huge thing in general.
yeah, no, I agree. I think my love for the PRX really, I wouldn't say died, but definitely isn't as much as it was since I've picked up my Dorenzo DRZ04, which is
It would
another
do, yeah.
which is another integrated steel sports watch that just does everything a lot better. And unfortunately for Tissot, being such a, I guess, a big market brand, you just have to try and keep it as generic as possible. Try and capture as many elements as they can with that sort of price range. And I don't think it's a terrible release, but I just don't believe that it is. I don't believe it's going to be such a big hit as the original PRX releases.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a lackluster release. It matters, but it's happened. It's one of those things where with the one that I bought, I was hyped. I liked the green and everything, but same thing, it wore off pretty quickly because it is a pretty generic thing. And at this point, the Powermatic 80 I get is that workhorse, do it all movement type thing. But at the same time, like that Powermatic 80, there's nothing unique about that to itself. Like it's just the same movement whacked into the next piece. Yeah, so I think this PRX as well could hugely benefit from a color matching date wheel. Like I don't know if it's just the aesthetics of the waffle dial, square, 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 and you get the date window square. I think massive, especially with the black dial variant. Make it a black date wheel with, I don't know, just the white text, and I think it's a huge plus. I think it's a bigger announcement than the actual Powermatic 80 release in 35mm itself, in my opinion.
Yeah, but matched, yeah, they will. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, to be honest, the out of all the variants that have been released, I the white dial looks the best to me, and it looks the most symmetrical, and because it has the white date wheel. So yeah, you're right, and this is coming back to the fact that Tissot releases for the masses, like a lot of these big watch groups, and there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes they have to just use what they have. This is a Powermatic 80 movement, like you mentioned. Look, maybe it's not super special, but it's definitely does the job. It's based on the ETA 2824, so it's a good solid movement. It's been used in many movements. It does have that sort of silicone hairspring, which is basically it's the same movement that's in my watch that I'm wearing now, the German Powermatic 80. And I'll be honest,
Yeah.
this thing is super accurate, and it has that 80-hour power reserve. So I'm all for this movement being in this watch. I just feel like it's a little bit too late. I feel like they should have released it at the same time, and it would have been a much, I don't feel like they're going to sell as much.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, a little bit too late, and they could have done it instantly too. There was nothing holding it back. There's nothing like oh look, it's like the article says, finally here. Like we know you've got this stuff stashed away somewhere. It's not that, not
Yeah.
that big of a hidden secret.
Yeah, you're right. And I think there was actually leaks of these photos of these a couple of months ago. I think it was in March.
I think
So
you're right. Yeah,
it's been around for a little while.
yeah, and I got maybe an idea for Tissot. give us the rubber straps so we don't have to buy the $250 deluxe ones. Please, like I would 100% buy another one if I could get the rubber strap without spending $250 on a deluxe one. Nothing against deluxe. I'm sure they're great, but I'm just not in the market for a $200 rubber strap.
Yeah, I just felt like Deluxe probably is riding high on the hype that is the PRX, and they're going, yeah, we can charge this much for a piece of rubber. Yeah, look, I don't know, you $250 seems like highway robbery to me for a pair of rubber strap.
Do you reckon Tissot is kicking themselves and just being like, why did we not think of this? Like the Citadel that we spoke about earlier comes with those beautiful colored straps to fit straight on and match. Surely, like give me that green one with the green strap.
I think they probably know, but I feel like the bracelet makes an integrated watch what it is. I felt like, I mean, the
Mm.
Citadel's not you know, not the a integrated stretch watch. So yeah, you to have the rubber strap on it is good. But I yeah, you're they but I reckon they're probably kicking themselves a little bit for losing some of those rubber strap profits to deluxe.
Yeah, for sure. No, just my thoughts.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're done with all of our new watch releases that we wanted to talk about this week. And unless we've got one more, might have snuck
Yeah,
in.
so on the monochrome article I'm looking at here, there's a I don't know if you got the same ad, I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but there's a huge ad for Doxa here. And I am familiar with Doxa, and it's a sub 300T Clive Cussler edition. Have you got that ad up?
I did not. I
This is giving
Tell me about
me,
it.
or like this is yeah making me feel something. Hey, it's giving me like out of order looks like we spoke about last week. um that kind of banged up patinaed vintage look, with the beads of rice. The case looks patinaed. This is awesome. I've never seen this before. So just a bit of live action here. Yeah, not sure if you want to look it up, but it
I'm
is
looking at it right now.
amazing.
I'm looking at it right
I
now as
love
we
it.
speak. Wow, yeah, you're right. It's very much that out of order vibes of that sort of the crystal, sorry, not crystal, the dial with that sort of sandy paper, like old world paper map kind of
Maps, yeah.
look. Yeah. And I'm not sure who Clive Clustler is. Do you know?
I'm
He's a
assuming he's an explorer of some kind. I have no idea.
he's a novelist. Okay, so he's a novelist. He's an adventure novelist. Wow. Okay, that's it's definitely an interesting collaboration. He was an American adventure novelist, and he wrote some awesome adventure novels like Sahara and Mayday and The Spy. So
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if any of them became a movie, but
Mm.
I don't. I must say I have not seen a watch that's been released with a novelist as the inspiration. We've seen plenty of divers as inspirations and explorers, but novelists not so much.
Yeah, I don't mind a bit of a read of a book if I get the chance these days with two toddlers. But yeah, maybe I'll have a look. But if this is his taste in watches, if he's had a bit of influence on this design, I'm all for it. Actually, I do enjoy on the bezel there. There's that orange print, which is the nod to the orange doxa. You know, that's what they're known for.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that kind of parchment paper, with the compass look is pretty cool. It's a cool way of doing something, a nod to something, but also making it look busy but not overly busy, and extremely legible too. I think yeah, this is cool.
Yep, yep, you're right about legibility. And obviously, for the listeners, it's not really the range of watch that we would talk about in terms of the price range. It's sort of outside of our affordable micro brand sort of space. It does retail for 4,295 Australian dollars, which is probably, yeah, getting up there for a Doxa. I'm going to put this to you. Do you believe this is value for money? Would you pay this much for a doxer?
No,
Yeah.
no. I've never really. I mean, I'm familiar with it, with Doxa itself. Like, I think they've got that heritage and that history. But I don't know, the ones that stand out to me are the I think it's the sub 300 carbon edition, like those things. They're amazing looking, but again, like 6,000. I get it's carbon watch. There's a lot of thought and process and engineering in that space. But
Sure.
I don't know, like 6 grand to where, I don't know what your experience is with forged carbon, but on car parts and stuff with me, you drop a bit and get a chip. It's not a great feeling when you spend a lot of money on it.
No, I have zero experience with forged carbon, so interesting. It's the space, I guess, more in the luxury space. While we're talking, this price range tends to try and experiment with different case materials, and I kind of want, if I'm paying that much money for a watch, I want it to be pretty robust. So yeah, and looking at Doxa itself, I the only Doxa that really stands out in my eyes is the sub 200s actually, which is a bit smaller, and the Doxa Orange, which is the sub 200 professional, or the Doxa sub 200 Shark Hunter, which is the black dial. It's got that awesome vintage vibe, and the price is actually pretty reasonable. It's about 1,600 Aussie on a beads of rice type bracelet. I reckon that's a good deal for this watch.
Yeah, so I've actually got to handle the sub 200 in the aquamarine, which I think from memory, they had that kind of color not locked down, but in use long before the huge hype of Tiffany and blue and the Rolex Oyster OP craze and whatnot. So I got to see that in person. I think they do it well. It's not overly over the top. It's the way it's printed into the bezel as well. It's done really subtly. The website photos actually don't look like it does in person. It's a lot more subtle. It's like the rendered photos are way more in your face than it is in person.
Sure.
But I think my favorite, based on what the aquamarine looks like in person, would actually be the white pearl, like that all white. I think it would be done excellent. If the rendering on the aquamarine is the same as the white pearl, a bit more in your face, I think it'd be a lot better in person.
Sure.
But in terms of Doxa, I like the kind of military inspired look of the whole brand. I just don't know if that's kind of where my money would be spent if I was dropping 6 to 7, 8 grand on a watch. I just don't think it's my space, but it obviously has its market. It's got its history, and people do have a cult following towards it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there. Well, that was an interesting little spin to our top 5 new releases. Hey, and I think, as much as we love to talk about our affordable and microbrand range, it's always great to see what's out of the range, to see, get inspired by the different looks, and then maybe say, hey, I love the look of this. It's $6,000. I don't want to pay $6,000, but I want to try and find something in my range that with that same look. And I urge everyone out there to do that. I know there's the argument where people say, but if I want to get that, then I should get that, I should save for it. And there's definitely an argument for that. But my take on that is it's always good to build up your collection. Start small, build it up. I feel like if you drop a lot of money on a watch, you may not quite enjoy that process of watch collecting, and being able to enjoy watches at the lower range first. I think gives you a bit more flavor, and you can play around with various styles, various colors, and then you can really find what's you. That's my take on it, and I don't know if you feel the similar way.
Yeah, and a bit of personal experience here, I guess. In a world that in the world we're living in at the moment, where inflation is just going through the roof every second week, you hear of a new cash rate rise. I've been in that position where I've been looking at a piece that's worth $20,000, and it is scary to just even the thought. Like I very close to buying a larger purchase recently, and the butterflies in the stomach and that overthinking feeling, it is a daunting thing at the moment, because you just don't know what the world is going to be like in 3 weeks' time. We could all be wearing masks locked back in our house next week and all on stand down from work. Who knows? So it is a bigger picture thing compared to when I first started collecting, for sure. It's nerve wracking.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I think within this hobby, it's easy to get carried away. I think it's kind of like most hobbies and most collecting sort of spaces. It's easy to get carried away, and it's always good to keep perspective of the hobby. Enjoy it, and have some fun with great pieces, but maybe don't go overboard.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, buy within your means. That's my number one, advice for someone starting a collection or building in. Just go within your means. Yeah, if you don't want to spend too much and get that attachment to that one thing and then have to get rid of it, it's not good. I've done that with bikes before. It's horrible. 18-year-old me, went and got my R class license and bought the second most expensive Harley I could find. And when it came to buying a second house and whatnot for when I had kids, it had to go, and it wasn't a good feeling. And I've learned from my mistakes.
Yeah.
But I guess moving on from that conversation, one last question for you on today's watches. What was the favorite and why? So out of what's the standout for you?
My standout release is I can't quite decide between the two, but they both have very similar elements, and it's the Citizen Promaster Dive 37 mil in the black dial, and the Orient Mako 3 JDM orange. Look, they're no nonsense dive watches. Both Citizen and Orient make some fantastic dive watches for the price. I think one a smaller version Eco Drive, the other a slightly bigger but still very wearable, with the a rock solid Epson movement in there. Yeah, those two are my picks for this episode.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'll join you there with the Citizen. And with tax time around the corner, maybe I'll pick one up because I'm really enjoying the thought of that 37 mil. And I guess a standout for me, not to finish on a negative by any means on that topic, but it's just like that Seiko is just really grinding my gears. I just don't know, like that the original looks so good and it just could have been executed a lot better. I get, modernizing and innovating, but just hasn't hit the mark for me.
Yeah, I think for everyone that's playing along as well, it's definitely good to compare the two. So we'll definitely include a link to the model that inspired this release, and tell us, if you guys got any comments on that. Would be fantastic to hear about it. Hit us up on our socials and drop a comment, or send us a DM and say, what are your thoughts on that? Yeah, look, I wanted to sort of talk about our something interesting section, of the podcast today, and I I ordered my first watch related stuff from AliExpress a couple of weeks ago, and it came in, and I must say I am pleasantly surprised. I ordered a couple of straps, couple of new sort of leather slash rubber hybrid straps. So it's like a leather, like a sort of a thin layer of leather on top, and then a bit of rubber down the bottom to, I guess, make it a bit more waterproof. And I I really like it.
Sweet.
It's inexpensive. It's only, I think it cost me, for two straps, I think it cost me $40 or something like that. It's crazy value. I doubt there's a lot of leather in that leather strap. However, it looks good. It's well built. From what I can see, and it's got the quick release straps. And I think for the users out there, for the listeners out there, it's definitely worth checking out some of these sort of straps. It's good to, it's yeah. I think it's a good way of trying different colors, different styles out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like with this Seiko tuner, like I said earlier on, this was a bargain pickup on a Boxing Day sale. It was $200, and the rubber strap it comes on I thought it was incredible. It's nice, it's great. It's got the Seiko wave stamped in the bottom of it. Cool. Wore it for about 4 months, and then I think we had the chat about natos. I'd never purchased a nato before our chat, and I purchased three for this, and I rotated all three through it. Loved it. But in that space before the nato, I'd purchased so many rubber straps. That's kind of where my comfort zone was and what I preferred in aesthetic was as well. And I've not taken it off this nato since I've put it on. It's just remained, and it's just one of those ones. I think it's cost $13 Aussie.
Wow.
And it just hits. It suits the look. So when you find that real bargain, value for money price point with a strap, it's a good feeling. It changes it. It gives you that. It scratches that little new watch itch that you get.
All for
chuck it on something different.
Yeah, all for it. And it's it's very different to some of the high end stuff. And don't get me wrong, I started off with a Tissot Powermatic with an artisan strap, and these straps are beautifully made, and I think they are about 100 AUD. Look, they're worth every penny. But sometimes you want to try different colors on and different styles on. You don't necessarily want to drop $100 on each strap. So I definitely think, go and check it out. And I might actually leave a link to that AliExpress strap, so all the listeners can, if you're interested, you should go check it out.
Yeah, definitely. And while we're on straps, I guess something else interesting to add on this topic, Forstner bracelets are coming to Strapify as well, which I think is cool. Forstner is one I'm keeping my eyes on. I want to buy a Jubilee for the Tudor Black Bay really bad. Approaching an AD for Tudor and asking for the new Jubilee that comes on the Black Bay 41. I got told no, we don't sell them separately, which destroyed me because I've been waiting for that. I've wanted that for a long time. But yeah, Forstner have got on their website that a 41 model Jubilee is coming. So it's cool to know that they're going to be in stock here, because my experience with Strapify is I've bought and received within a day or two. So yeah, for people who follow that, they do the fitted bracelets for those models, Speedies, Seamasters, that type of stuff, a little bit more higher end than what we're usually talking about, but cool to see it come to Australia.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we'll also leave a link to that. And if people want to check that out, I guess that's our episode done today. I guess if anyone wants to hit us up or want to discuss it about any more of the releases that we talked about today, feel free to do so. Until next time, we'll have a good week, and I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, mate, you too. Take it easy. Thank you for joining us on Overtime the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
You can find us on our Instagrams at Overtime the podcast, at Kinda Average Watches, and at Horology Capture.
We appreciate your support and value your feedback. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, please hit us up. We would love to hear from you.
Until next time.